friends, it is Friday, and today we had our opening night of our second weekend of Posthumous. It went very well. It was an absolutely crazy show, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I am here to talk about episode 8 of She-Hulk, the penultimate episode. My first note says there was a lot of romance in that flashback, so seems worth mentioning. I guess love life is maybe gonna matter. Then we meet Leapfrog, the kid of a big client, who is naturally hilariously dumb, because that's just the way that it works. I have no idea if Leapfrog's an actual character in the comics. I assume so, because why wouldn't he be? I will say that Ribbit and Rip It is also really dumb, but very catchy. Like, Ribbit and Rip It is a hilarious catchphrase for some sort of frog-themed character, and I'm a little bit into it. I thought it was pretty funny. My next note says, a note that will be repeated often in this episode, which is that I love Luke Jacobson. His vibes are immaculate. Everything he does is absolute perfection at every single moment and every single time. And so I felt very sad that he and Jen were going to have a fight. And then he's sitting there and he's waiting for his lawyer. And then he goes, I'm not representing myself. And my note says, oh shit, it's going to be Murdoch, isn't it? Isn't it? It has to be. Boom. There he is. And then Matt Murdock just strides in, makes a joke, makes everyone laugh, and everyone's like, wow, I really like that guy. Even Jen's like, oh man, too bad I have to go against this guy. And they're back and forth, super cute. Hot, smart lawyers just going for each other's throats. I'd watch a whole season of that. That show probably already exists, but it doesn't have Charlie Cox and Tatiana Maslany, so I haven't watched it. And they're not She-Hulk and Daredevil, so I wasn't interested. But a lawyer show like that definitely exists, and after watching this scene, I can understand why people would be into those. I would watch a whole season of that. He did say something interesting, that the Sokovia Accords have been appealed, which I thought was fascinating, because we haven't really had any follow-up to that. You know, people sort of just forgot. It happens when a villain snaps away half of existence. You sort of forget about little things like the Sokovia Accords. But I thought it was interesting that it was like mentioned that had been appealed or repealed, and therefore like superheroes don't have to give up their identities. I thought that was kind of fascinating. And then the case doesn't even really start before Leapfrog has leapt himself into losing. Just very, very classic. And then Jen trying to make up for Luke, and Luke's like, no, because I hate you now. I will not make you that dress. We will not be friends anymore. Because his vibe is immaculate. Fast forward to the bar, where Matt Murdock is being charming, and the dynamic between them is a thing. And Jen, you're right. We feel it too. It's not just you. Loved that fourth wall break. And then I really loved Jen being like, him being like, what's the deal with your client? And she goes, oh, he has a problem. It rhymes with rich parents. Oops, I just said it. He has rich parents. And I thought that was pretty funny. I enjoyed their whole banter back and forth. I liked every time they were on screen together. They're very bantery. I appreciate good banter. I was raised to love banter. I am the type of person who considers witty phrases love language. You know, sarcasm and veiled insults. It's how to get me. And I really liked when Jen said, the secret double lives of Matt Murdock, just referring to him doing 2 types of cases. Wow, if only she knew. And she will. She'll know very soon. And then Matt's like, oh, work called me away. And we're all thinking, work? Really? And then poor Jen has to go and see Todd again, who we hate for a myriad of reasons. Not the least of which is that he's now bought a Wakandan spear and is like trying to do the Wakanda forever thing. And Jen's like, that makes me uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, yes, Jen, us too. Us too. But luckily, she gets called away. Well, she gets rid of him and then has to get called away to save Leapfrog, which sounds great. But my next note just says, supersuit time, supersuit time, supersuit time. Her supersuit was not what I expected. It's more like gym clothes, but it's effective. And she looks good in it, so I thought that it was really fun. And her fight with Daredevil was great. Once again, witty banter back and forth, the way that they fight. I love that Jen causes a lot of destruction. I thought that that was really fun. I also love that she just pulled his helmet off. Like, just straight up was like, boop. We're not playing around with this secret identity thing. There will be no mystery. I only have a 30-minute episode. I just need to figure out who you are right now. Boom. Now I know. Also had several amazing lines. Her bit about being like, how was I supposed to know that the guy dressed like the devil was the good guy? I thought that that was pretty funny. I also really appreciated very daring to make ketchup and mustard your color scheme. And then Matt was like, how about I tell Luke you said that? And she goes, no, please don't. I also thought that that was hilarious. Every moment in that whole fight was just so much fun. And then when they're walking away, he goes, have you ever destroyed a parking garage before? And she's like, ooh, I should leave a note. And I thought, yeah, Jen, for being the hero, you are very destructive, which is the Hulk thing. Like, that's your whole deal, right? Is that you're destructive. But it was pretty funny. I then really enjoyed Matt's speech about the difference between goons and henchmen. It just felt very Clint Barton to me. I was like, wow, in this moment, I really need Matt Murdock and Clint Barton to like get sent on a mission together as just like the grouchy old men of Marvel. Because that's who they are. Because Cap was never that level of grouchy. And Bucky has that a little bit, so he could also be in the mix. The three of them would be totally that vibe. But all I could think was, wow, this is the kind of speech that Clint would listen to and be like, yeah, you're totally right. That is a difference. And also the whole debate over what technique to use, the like bursting in or like quietly sneaking, and her being like, I don't want to wait 30 minutes for you to just like knock out 10 guys. And he's like, that's not how the math works. I also thought a lot about Hawkeye in those moments. Like they just have very similar vibes. I think I'd enjoy watching them together, because it would either be like the best team up ever where everything goes smoothly and you're like, oh my goodness, who knew it could be this good? Or the absolute worst thing where they can't say anything that the other person agrees with. They have like just slightly different views and the two of them are just too pig-headed to possibly think like the other person. But either way, it just did give me a lot of Hawkeye vibes and I really, really enjoyed that. My next note says, oh, God, I've missed Daredevil hallway fights. And that's true, and it's not as dynamic as the Netflix series. The cinematography, especially during fight choreo, in all of those, but particularly in Daredevil, was phenomenal. The long shots of him as he fought his way down the hallway. There is one set of shots that's like him coming down the hallway and then into a room and around that was just so stunningly done. And they used the same cinematography in the next season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it was like very obvious that they'd stepped up the way they film fight choreo. And I got a little taste of that, not quite as good, but it did make me miss watching Matt Murdock fight a bunch of people. And then we just get to watch Jen and Matt beat up all of the goons. And that was fun. And Leapfrog once again caused himself all of the pain. No one has to do any work. He does it all himself. And then Luke, with his, again, immaculate vibes, says, yes, of course, I'm not a monster. He's so good. He's so good. And then I enjoyed, once again, the banter with Jen and Matt when they're sitting up on top by the sign and he's like, I'm not really a stick around and talk to the cops kind of guy. And she goes, ooh, how brooding. And then my next note just says, get it, both of you. And followed by, and I was actually laughing because Daredevil doing the walk of shame is my new favorite thing. Like just Matt Murdock with this like happy grin on his face. Just like walk of shaming in full Daredevil costume in the morning. I didn't know that I needed that to exist, but it turns out I needed that to exist. It was amazing. And the whole break the fourth wall scene that then happens, where Jen's like, this should be the end of the episode. Why are we still going? What is happening? Oh, is next episode the last episode? Are we gonna get some sort of twist? I loved it. I loved it. And then my next note says, damn, Jen, really get it. Also, the songs, once again, on point. Loved the music, loved everything, except for the speech that man gave before announcing the female lawyer of the year. The speech was literally the worst. And then he proceeded to just, like, announce a bunch of names, and wow. If that doesn't figure. And then it's like, what's it like to be a female lawyer? And I liked the girl being like, oh, well, it's really nice. And the Mallory Book, once again, being my hero, says twice as much work for half as much recognition and a bunch of people asking you what it's like to be a female lawyer. And all I thought was, this is why we love you, because you tell it like it is. And then Jen is really, really sweet and gonna thank her friends and her family and like be adorable. And then the intelligentsia ruins it. And they also call her a slut, which I thought was heckin' rude because she is not a slut. She is a consenting adult. However, that man who filmed her and then put this video up and gave it to Intelligentsia, he is a problem. Okay? She is not a slut, but he might be a whore. And he also is a dick. And a jerk. And a bastard. And I just think it's rude for them to call Jen a slut. That's not the way that shakes down at all. And I think that the show doesn't treat it that way. But man, all I could think was, I hate these guys so much. And you know what, Jen? Sometimes anger does get the best of us, especially in situations like that. And I support you. Do I think that it was the best choice you could have made under the circumstances? No, probably not. Do I think it was the right choice from a like legal standpoint? No, definitely not. Do I think it was the correct emotional choice and I do support you? Yes, absolutely. I will fight for your right to destroy everything based on what lies those very, very, very mean guys were saying. Like, let's take them down. I'm ready. And I really liked Jen's like fourth wall look at the very end of the show. I thought that was really good. So I enjoyed this episode. It had a lot of twists and turns and had some Matt Murdock that I'd been missing. It was just fun. I love good banter. I liked everything that we experienced here. And I'm looking forward to, but also a little sad that I'm going to get the final episode next week. So let me know what you thought of this episode, and I'll see you tomorrow.